Hello, I am Viola Strepsata Voltairine, and I'm just going to give you a little update on what's going on with the film and answer a question that I got that I thought really deserved to be addressed directly because it's come up a few times. But first, I have haters. And you might find it strange that I'm kind of excited about that. But I've been online since 1997. I'm pushing 50 years old. And it's been a long time since I've had haters. And usually what that means when people take the time out of their day to create whole separate fake accounts for the express purpose of leaving insults on your YouTube channel, then it means you're onto something. So I'm pretty excited about that, and I take a little sadistic pleasure in deleting all of them, all the mean comments. So anyway, yeah. So on to the question, and I got this a few times, is, well, if you're going to make this movie, why not just get investors and make it, or why not just use your own money and make the film? And I can see where that's coming from if you don't know the indie film industry as it is and has been for the last 10 or 15 years. So let me explain. The indie film industry is very broad, and there are tons of us online. So what I want you to do is I want you to go to a few websites. Seed and Spark is one of them. Kickstarter is another. Indiegogo is another. All of these have dedicated, Seed and Spark is just for film, and Kickstarter and Indiegogo and a lot of other places have places just for filmmakers. And this has become a part of creating indie film. Thousands and thousands of filmmakers do crowdfunding, and they do it often at the beginning of the film to get seed funds. They do it at the end of the film to get finishing funds. It's very, very common practice in indie film right now across thousands and thousands of films. Even fairly famous filmmakers, that was an alliteration, do this. It's just common practice now, and it has been for over 10 years, probably 15 years now, since things like Kickstarter began. So on one end, you can't make a film without crowdfunding in the beginning and usually at the end of the film. So it's not unusual. It's not something that I'm doing all alone. And also, I am looking for investors actively, contacting as many people as I can. I have made a few films. They have gotten some awards. I've gotten a few very big grants for films, things like that. But I'm by no means a famous filmmaker. I'm still struggling like most filmmakers are in indie land here. We don't have big Hollywood budgets. We don't have all the connections. I do have a few fairly good connections in the indie film industry, people I've met along the way at film festivals, and just by virtue of making films, you meet people. But I call upon those when I need to. But what I need this initial seed fund for is to pay someone who actually has those connections with bigger name artists, bigger name actors. And so I need to pay a casting director, and I want to find a co-producer who I also have to give some money to up front to continue with finding investors. So I'm actively working on all of these fronts, but it's not an unusual thing to ask fans of the story that you're making. And I know that Miss Renee Lane has a number of fans who have very graciously donated to the film. And I really, as I said, thank you very much. At this stage of the film, it's super important. And there might be another phase of the film where it's also super important, usually toward the end for finishing funds, if we go over budget or something like that. But again, this is not an uncommon practice. Go to all those websites. You will see thousands of films being funded in this way. I'm not I'm not panhandling here. I'm making a movie. And I need to pay a writer, and I need to pay a casting director, and I need to find a co-producer and give them a little money up front. It's just how it works. You can get people to work for free, but this kind of film, I'm going to be working with probably 40 to 50 people. They all have to be paid at least something. So, films take money, and crowdfunding has become a common way to get that. To get it started. And then when you show that you have a fan base, then it's more likely for investors to take it seriously. Anyway, I do have an investment package that I've put together. If anyone out there is interested in seeing it, just send me an email, violavoltairine@gmail.com. Things are going well here. I am waiting for Miss Renee to send me her interview. She's decided to record it on her own. She sent me back her answers to the questions, most of them from you guys, and super articulate, and I'm really looking forward to getting those recordings and sharing those with you. So that's what I'm waiting for. And keep contributing, because the closer we get to that goal, the further I can go with getting a casting director, paying the writer, and finding a co-producer who will also have better connections. The more people involved, the more connections you have, the more likely you're going to find investors. So, and also, if we get a fairly well-known actor to play one of the main roles, then that also it's a benefit to the film, in that there will be investors who are fans of that particular person. So, this is how the film industry works. I understand that a lot of people probably haven't been in it, or haven't seen film fundraising, or maybe were involved in the film industry 20 years ago, where crowdfunding wasn't really so much a thing. But, this is how we do it. That's how it goes. And, I'm not a wealthy person. I'm not a famous person, one. I can't use that. And I'm not a wealthy person. I mean, I make a little money on the films that I've previously made, and you can go to artvamp.com and see those. I make a little money every month on those. Still, years after. It's very nice to get a check every month for those. And I, at one time or another, I will have a couple of students in my female-led relationship courses. And that's how I make a living. I am very middle class. And as Renee has told people before too, she's not a wealthy woman. She's, has a good career, but she's not by any means wealthy enough to fund a film of this scope. And so neither one of us are. I live with two submissives who also have full-time jobs, which allows me to live in a nice house, a fairly large, nice house. But other than that, I am not wealthy. I get by on teaching about female-led relationships, and I actually really enjoy teaching men in particular how to approach dominant women and how to find a dominant partner. It's just something I like, and part of my motivation for making this film as well is to provide an example of how far it can go and how interesting it can get and how loving it can still be even when you're pushing the boundaries. Okay. So enough said. I think I've answered that question fully. So if it comes again, I'll just point people to this video. And thank you to the people who write me with support. And thank you also to the haters who boost my ego a little bit, because it makes me feel like I'm getting out there. All right, so have a great day, and I will keep up doing these updates once in a while, and I hope to hear from you. Thanks.